Hey Facebook, what's up? We're about to get started on the podcast once I get my microphone adjusted and everything. And all this set up. So, without further ado, welcome everybody. You are listening to the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patrick Grimion. I've got Brian Rodriguez from Gatorworks on the show tonight to talk about everything that's been happening, where he's going with it, and kind of the inception and creation of the company as a whole. So, Brian, well, give us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of back history.
Sure. Yeah, so good evening. Glad to be here. Looking forward to our conversation tonight. I guess I don't know how in detail you want me to go.
However in detail the story needs to be.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you the quick overview, and then we can come back and look at certain parts of it. So I started Gatorworks in the summer of 2001, before going into my senior year of high school in New Orleans.
High school.
Okay. So obviously very different enterprise back then compared to what it is now, but basically so if you think about 2001, July of 2001. And the internet at that time, it was pretty different from where we are right now. So,
slightly different.
No iPhone, no Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or any of those things.
Yeah, had to hear the classic.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah. So I went to Rummel High School in Metairie.
Okay.
And at the time, they were working on their school's website, and they decided that they wanted to have students work on it. So they had a web crew where people that were interested in working on that website would be a part of this group and help build the school's website. Okay. So I kind of got involved in that and started to learn how that process worked. And after a little while, I was like, okay, I kind of started to kind of learn how to work on the web, and I was kind of interested in computers and things like that. And a friend of mine was also interested, and we liked tinkering and stuff. So his mom was like, hey guys, if y'all learn how to do this, what if I try to find some businesses that maybe want websites, and you guys can go charge money and build them websites? So I said, okay. So we started our company and went to LSU, and a year later, my business partner decided he wasn't really interested anymore. He went on to be a veterinarian, doctor.
What?
And
quite the parallel shift.
It was very big difference. And then I took it over from 02 to 06 as a college student at LSU. I really enjoyed kind of the idea of building a business. I enjoyed working with a client. I kind of realized very early on that I actually personally was not very good at designing or developing websites. So, but I was much more interested in the sales and the kind of the pure business side of it. So it's a very simple kind of business model where I would go find the client. The client would pay a certain amount of money. I would have a freelance designer, a freelance developer who were also college students, and I would get some money. I'd pay the designer some. I'd pay the developer some. I'd keep some money for myself. We developed the website, and that was that. So it was a very simple kind of business. And again, if you think about the time, it was really interesting because I was in college and starting my professional career right at that sort of analog to digital changeover. Okay. If you so to speak. So, as an example, my first year in college, I didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
So it was like, now I was a little late to the game, probably. I mean, other people had cell phones. But those years were kind of early 2000s, were when that sort of thing was just happening.
Right.
So it's fun to kind of look back on, and I do kind of remember being an adult and still, being able to compare today's technology to the time when that didn't exist, So anyway, I slowly built the business. In 2005, took on a business partner that owned 40% of the business. So I had 60, he had 40, He was a little bit older than I am. Had more experience, had his hands in some different other unrelated ventures, but he was able to bring some instant kind of legitimacy to what we were doing. He was able to bring some instant clients and that sort of thing. He was my business partner for the next 10 years, but got out of LSU in 06. So really 06, though, is when, if somebody asked me when did you start the business, I really say 2006. That's when I got out of LSU, and that's when it became my full-time career.
So, but why not go with the 2002 earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fair. I mean, we did work on several projects through those years. The good thing about those years, a couple things. One is that I was young. I was a student at the time. It's almost like I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
It was easy to take on risk, because what's the worst thing that could happen? I didn't own anything. I didn't have a wife and children like I do now. So it's it was easier to make mistakes and be okay with it in those early years. It didn't feel like quite as much was at stake. Now it quickly became, I mean, once I was out of LSU and this was my career, I'm trying to build this business, and I mean, the first 5 years, it was tough. I mean, I was not making much money personally. I mean, cash flow, managing cash flow, of course, was always a difficult thing to do. And it was a while before it really started to see any real success.
Okay.
I mean, so it was a grind for a long time.
So what was the average day looking like for you during those early grind years?
So it's weird, when I think about it, it was almost like I was living like this double life, because keep in mind, those early years, I was in my young 20s. I mean, so I was, which means that I would want to go out like someone in their young 20s would want to go to a bar. I was a single guy who liked to have fun and wanted to do things, but then during the day, I had this business that I was trying to run. So it was kind of this weird, I had like my friends socially, and then you had this you put on business Brian hat and try to be, I mean, not to imply that I was like some crazy party or anything like that.
Right.
But
you walked into a client and they were like, hey, I saw you last night dancing on tables.
No, I don't want to imply that.
What are you going to sell me here today?
But it was just, it's weird, you just have a certain maturity or lack thereof when you're 20 years old.
Right,
and you're kind of balancing that with trying to build a professional business and trying to get real companies to pay you money to provide a service and stuff. So it's kind of funny to think back on some of that balance there that I tried to create. But all in all, there were times that were very rewarding, but like I said, I mean, it wasn't until probably 2011, 2012 when I really felt like I had a good grip on things, and it was really starting to move in the right direction. I mean, it was very much a hang in there, stay focused, slow and steady growth. Just try to do a little bit better the next year than you did the year before, and keep at it. And so it was really tough. And like I said, at the time, I was okay taking that risk, because it's almost like I said, I didn't own anything. It's almost like I had nothing to lose.
Right.
Whereas if I had to start all over again, it's like, man, I don't know if I could do. If I could do it, it would be. It's tough. It tests you mentally. It's like you have to be emotionally tough, mentally tough, to get through some of those times. And those early years, you're paying employees more than you're paying yourself.
Right.
To make sure you keep the doors open and you're able to hire talented people. And so it's, some people think, when you're young, and I remember my friends would think, oh, well, you own a business. Well, oh, well, you must be rich, or
Right.
you must be able to do whatever you want. You can just sleep in all day, and it's like, man, it's not all rosy. I mean, there's certainly really rewarding and awesome parts to it, but
Right.
it was definitely pretty tough. There were some tough years in there. Yeah.
Right. When it's a lot of like your friends, especially at that age, when we think of somebody or people around, closer in their lower 20s, when they think of somebody in the business world or an entrepreneur or something like that, they're like, oh, this guy's got it made. He's probably in like Cuba or the islands, just sitting there watching
Right.
the money roll in.
Yeah.
When the reality of things is, no, for those first early years, you are not sleeping.
Yeah.
Whether it be for a lack of stress or
Yeah.
for a lack of,
Yeah.
continuing to work, and then also understanding that you're not taking paychecks.
Yeah.
Some people, like for what you just said, you have to pay your employees sometimes more
Yeah.
than you're paying yourself. For some people, they just like,
Yeah.
no way. Like that would, I would never be able to do that, because
Right.
you have that owner mentality of, I own this thing. It's mine. I should get paid the most.
Yeah.
But you were able to see like, okay, no, yeah, I own this, but I own this and I want this to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm still young. I still have not many, responsibilities. No, I don't have a bunch of baggage with me. I don't have like a house or a car note or all this other stuff that people
Yeah.
carry on and they get, which are all great things to get later on in life. But in that startup
Right.
phase and that earlier phase, it's okay. Let's keep things lean and trim as long as we can.
Absolutely, and that was huge for our business. So I kept things very lean. I very much believed in not putting an unnecessary strain on the business to fund a lifestyle for me personally. I put every bit of what we made back into the business. So in those first 5 or 6 years, I remember my health insurance bill was $126 a month.
Okay.
My car note was $209 a month, and I lived for 2 of the years. I lived with my sister, thank you, Lisa. She gave me free rent to live with her. But basically, the company would pay me just enough money to pay that car note and that health insurance. And when I had certain things, if I need to put gas in my car, the company would pay me $50 to put gas in my car. So I would only pay myself when I knew I had various bills to pay.
Right.
And that was it. There was no savings, there was no retirement, there was no nothing. I mean, it was extremely lean. And nobody put money into our company either. So I took on a business partner, but his value was in the contacts that he had, being able to drive business to our company, the mentorship that he provided, and those sorts of things, and various resources. He was able to provide some office space. So, but there was no real actual cash injection into the company.
Right.
So
there's no like funding phase where you
That is
said, hey,
correct.
we need, X number of dollars, keep the lights on. It's
That is correct.
Hey guys, we need like 4 more clients or we're going to have to shut
That's
down
right.
next week.
That is correct. Yeah. And both my parents are school teachers, which I've learned a lot from, and work ethic is, one of the biggest things I've learned from them. But they, but I don't come from, it's not like I come from money and I was able to just kind of fund this business. I mean,
Right.
This was very much bootstrapped of, okay, I'm going to go out and find that client. They're going to pay some money for this project. And hopefully that keeps the doors open long enough to find the next project to be able to, to keep it going. So,
Okay.
So I'll tell you, so to kind of bring us out of, I don't want to make the story sound like the business was like struggling for all this long time.
But bring it out of the dark.
Yeah, let me bring it back into more like present day. So a couple of like big things that kind of happened in our business. So in July of 2011,
Okay.
I hired an outsourced CFO, a guy named Renee Schexnayder, who has several clients now in the Baton Rouge area. And so I met with him once, July of 2011, for about 4 hours. And I learned more about the numbers and the financial side of our business in those 4 hours than, 4 years of college or anything previous to that. And I didn't know what I didn't know about the number side. It's unbelievable. And then I proceeded to, so I hired Renee on a contract basis where he would meet with me every single month for about 2 or 3 hours and sort of go through, and it started from kind of very rudimentary concepts, and then obviously over time it grew. But he basically taught me the financial side of our business. And I met with him every single month for, I think it was about well, until 2017, fall of 2017. So
about 6 years.
Yeah, about 6 years, every month without fail. And that was one of the top business decisions I've ever made. I within probably 6 months to a year, I had a very good grasp of our numbers, and that was huge for us. And so that was a big turning point for us. And, I would say probably by about 2013, 2014, I started to see us kind of turning the corner. We had at that point survived for a number of years, 6 or 7 years. We started to get some name recognition. We started to kind of understand, okay, let's not make that mistake again. Like we were starting to kind of learn what worked, what didn't work. We learned how to build better processes, how to hire better people, things like that. So it started to kind of come together. By the end of 2014, my business partner and I kind of mutually came to an understanding that he was ready to kind of move on to some other ventures that he was interested in, and we were ready. I was ready to kind of buy him out and take ownership of the business, 100% free and clear. So we worked a deal right at the end of 14. We actually closed on that March of 15. So March of 2015, I became the 100% owner of Gatorworks, and that was kind of my business partner offered a ton of value in that time, but it was time for him to kind of move on. He knew it, I knew it, so it felt a little bit like a weight was off my shoulders. I was then ready to kind of lead the company as the sole, owner of the company, and so that was a big, moment in time for me personally and for the company. So really, 2015 things were starting to look up. 2016, I finally felt like, okay, I got this thing in a really good spot. The company was profitable. I personally was making more money than ever before. We had really good team members that were doing great. That I was able to finally pay people, what they're worth, and we're really building something that we were proud of. In terms of the products and services that we offer and our capabilities, so for a number of years, it was project-based work. So it was websites, it was branding, design, things like that.
Right.
Which is great, but you're only as good as your next sale. There's a finite start and end, and it's project-based, fixed price, work. So
yeah,
it's just a really tough business model. You constantly have to close more deals in order to make more money. And then, of course, you're always limited by your capacity to execute those deals.
Yeah.
Professional services, you need more people in the seats on your team to fulfill those services and sell hours, basically.
Right. And then it gets to the point where you're no longer able to take in, so many, because then people are so stacked.
That's right.
And then you're so backlogged, and then you've got people going over budget because they're having to jump back and forth between different projects. And the next thing you know, once you know your numbers, you're like, hang on, guys, that project we started 2 years ago or wherever the timeline was, we're like twice into the budget what we should be.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so so basically, when was this? Beginning of 2014. So 2014 was the first full year where we added digital marketing services.
Okay.
So, and when I say digital marketing, initially it was search engine optimization.
Okay.
And it was search engine marketing or the management of paid search, so like Google Ads, basically.
Right.
Those two main service lines. And that was a game changer. And it did a couple things for us. It allowed us to be more strategic with our clients, where we were no longer just trying to design a pretty website. I mean, the website was still important, but we were now having a conversation about how does this website actually grow your company? Right. How do these online, technologies or these marketing strategies that we can put together for you, how does that actually grow your business? Right. And that's a much different conversation that we can have with a client. And then, of course, those services are sold as recurring monthly engagements. Right. So it wasn't hires for a month, it was hires for the next 12 months at X amount per month, and we'll provide you these ongoing services. So that was just huge for our business model to build those deeper relationships with clients and to have recurring revenue. So that was in 2014. Now, 80% of our business is digital marketing related, and only 20% is websites.
Okay.
So to kind of give to 2016, like I said, was a great year, and that's when I finally felt like, it was really going well. At that point, we had been around for 10 years, or at least if you go by the 2006 date,
right?
06 to 16, we're like, okay, 10 years, that's awesome to be around for that long. And throughout the years, different companies had approached me about selling the company, or maybe merging, with another company, or, and it would kind of happen at different times where various, companies would call me and ask me if I'm interested. And usually what would happen is somebody would call me, I would take the meeting, go to lunch, and then basically explain, no, I'm not interested, thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
And so I had done that several times. Well, in the fall of 16, right after the flood, Guarantee Corporation called me, and I assumed it was another one of those sorts of meetings. I was like, okay, well, I'll go have lunch with them, hear them out, but most likely say, I'm good. No, thank you.
Right.
Well, so this time it was a little bit different. I don't know what it was, so I had lunch with those guys, and I was like, man, I don't know. This might be worth kind of discussing a little bit further. And so throughout the fall of 16, and then actually into the spring of 2017, before I knew it, we were pretty deep into conversations about what this could possibly look like. Now, Guarantee Corporation, they own it's a diversified company, owns several different things. They're in a bunch of different industries and whatnot. But one of their main businesses is Guarantee Media, which owns radio stations here, locally owned here, technically 5 radio stations, 4 formats on Government Street.
Right.
And they basically said, okay, well, on the radio side, it's a traditional media company, outside sales force that is selling radio ads,
right,
primarily. So deep roots in the community. They've been in the community for over 90 years. They were in the insurance business and so forth. So their salespeople are already having, marketing conversations with either clients that they've been working with for a long time, that they have really great relationships with, or potentially new prospects that are looking for ways to market their business.
Right.
So what if Guarantee not only is able to sell them radio, but is able to also bring in digital marketing as well?
Yeah.
And so it made a lot of sense, and the way it was pitched to me was, okay, Brian, you built this company that's on a great trajectory. Things are growing. You have this, this website side. You have this digital marketing side. You have this great team. By that point, 2016, good brand recognition, some great clients that we're working with. So what if Gatorworks continues to do everything that it's doing, the way that it's doing it, but Guarantee owns it? And, so it was like, okay, there's a lot to unpack there, and, and a lot to think about.
So you just want to buy it, and then
right.
So you just want to buy it,
right? So it there's a lot to think about. A lot of what my wife and I, and I met my wife back in 2009. So she was along for the ride for a lot of this. So she remembers
11 years now.
Yeah. And we got married in 2013. We dated, from 2009 to then, and she actually did our bookkeeping at one point for a good while. So she was very involved and understood the business. Was always a sounding board for me. Was always somebody that I can, make sure, like, hey, Brennan, am I, I think I'm going to do this. Does that make sense to you? And so we would talk about the business all the time. She was very, very much aware of everything. So, so when I came home, it's like, man, I don't know. Does this make sense? There was lots of, I remember we walk around the neighborhood, walking the dogs, talking, like, man, should we do this? And it made me think about, why do entrepreneurs own businesses? Why?
Right.
What is it? So it made me inwardly contemplate, like, what is it about owning a business that makes me tick? Like, why do I care about owning 100% of Gatorworks? What is it that makes me energized to wake up in the morning and do this? And And ultimately, what I was able to reconcile with this deal with Guarantee is that they allowed me to continue to do all of those things. So I have complete autonomy. I have the same quality of life as I did as owning 100% of the company. I would be able to keep the Gatorworks brand name, keep all of our employees, keep all the services that we provide. You know, I would have complete say-so in how we provide those services, the pricing. That, you know, it very much was, Brian, you keep doing your thing, and it, like, if what I care about are the lifestyle things, like the feeling of waking up in the morning and having complete ownership of this business, they were still going to be able to give me that, even though on paper I would not own the business.
Yeah.
So, like, through many conversations of months, basically in April of 17, I shook their hands on a deal. Crazy enough, my wife gets pregnant with our first child, which is just, you know, crazy in of itself. To you know, so in June, late June, I sat down with our team. We had about 8 people at the time. I explained to them that what was about to happen with the business selling the company, which of course is a big, scary conversation to have, to be able to tell people that this is about to happen.
Well, I mean, because as soon as they hear, oh, the business is selling the company, it's like, okay, so what does that mean for my job?
Right, exactly.
Like, do I need to start looking for another job? Like, do I need to? Should I come in tomorrow? Is it coming in tomorrow? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
We've all seen The Office with downsizing.
Right.
That show has painted a gnarly picture
of
a lot of people's brains.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, no, it's a big, scary thing. I mean, we had a 3 or 4 hour conversation with our team, like letting them ask me any question that they want, you know. And that was on that Monday. That Friday, I had my child, who is now 2.5 years old, Max. So that was just a crazy time. And then July 31st, we closed on the deal. Guarantee owns 100% of the company. And but it's really amazing how we pulled this off, because, to be honest, I forget that I actually don't own it. It's that I think we built it. We to their credit, and really now it's we. I mean, I'm saying them and us because of the way the story plays out in my head. But of course, we're all one group now. But
one big happy family.
Yeah, but to their credit, they're just really great people, and I was able to kind of build that trust with them during our sort of negotiating period. Of course, there's a leap of faith on my part, but on their part too. You know, they're acquiring a business, and they don't really know if it would work out or not. You know, they're taking a leap of faith. I was taking a leap of faith. Best decision I ever made. Is
really
unbelievable. Yeah, and it's crazy. You know, I got so much feedback from different, you know, friends that own businesses, different consultants, and I heard it all. Brian, they're just going to screw you. They're saying they're going to do this. Of course they're not going to do that. Oh, you're going to, do the deal, but you're going to definitely want to leave within the next few years after you do the deal. I heard everything under the sun. And they lived up to every bit of what they said that they were going to do. And of course, I've tried to live up to all of my side too. But it could not have worked out better. In our business, last year in 2019, we doubled revenue.
Wow.
Which is just unbelievable. We now have about 23, 24 people. We went from,
that's quite,
at the time of the acquisition, we had
jump.
7. Yeah, we have about 24, I think it is. We should hire about 10 or 12 more people this year. Our EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, accounting.
All that EBITDA jibber jab.
Yeah. So, I mean, that went from 18 to 19, I think it was like a 330% jump or something like that.
Goodness.
So the growth, and there's a couple things that I can point to on how we were able to pull that off, but we've grown so fast in the last 2 years. I mean, almost probably at an unhealthy rate, to a degree. It's been a wild ride, but
is there ever really an unhealthy rate of growth?
Yeah. So it's a little wild, but so yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Okay, so why we grow so fast? So sorry, I'm like asking myself my own questions now.
Ryan, why did you grow so fast?
Yeah, thank you. So So something crazy happened, and it seems so obvious, and I guess it is obvious to a degree. So part of the value that Guarantee would be able to provide to Gatorworks is that, you know, they would take a number of back office things off of my plate. So all of these things that I was personally doing, like, you know, just the random, you know,
like payroll.
Yeah.
Cleaning
payroll,
out the garbage
billing,
cans.
yeah, like all these things that, you know, just over time, little by little, they started to take over. You know, billing was a huge, you know, at the end of every month, sending out all these figuring out who to invoice, what amount, in which I'm still pretty involved in, but there's a good chunk of it that's off my plate.
Right.
And you know, just basic cash management, move it. You know, I remember before it's like, oh, let me, you know, oh, we have this big, you know, we have payroll coming up. Well, it looks like, you know, this, I'm not going to collect on that for another 2 weeks. Let me hit the line of credit, then I'll go get this check, and then, oh yeah, I got to pay the health insurance bill. You know, there's just so many things flowing in most business owners, small business owners' heads all the time that are things that need to get done, and they're important, but they're not necessarily strategic, high-level concepts that are how am I going to grow this business? Well,
but they still got to be done.
They still got to be done, right?
Every small business, they still have to have. You still got to run payroll, otherwise you're going to lose your employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to pay their health insurance, otherwise they're going to get mad about that.
100%.
And it's that little back office, that HR stuff.
Yeah.
That small businesses and startups, they don't. It's not at the forefront of their brain. They may think about it slightly, but it's not like, okay, wait, we need to focus on making sure Betty's taken care of with her IRA contributions match, just making sure, you know, Bill over here's got his health insurance taken care of.
That's right.
No one thinks about that. It's like, okay, how can we provide a better product?
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
Somebody will pay y'all, it's fine.
Right. Yeah, and kind of what happened was, little by little, those things were not in my head anymore. It would just get taken care of. So by the end of like 2018, before we had really started, because 2019 was when we really grew, but 18 we grew a good bit, you know. And I remember, you know, I was reflecting, I'm like, man, like, I feel like my role has evolved, and I know we're on our way up to kind of a whole new level. Like, why? How is this possible? What's happening?
Right.
And it dawned on me that it's just, it's still the same amount of stress, you know, if not even more now than what it was before, but it's a different kind of stress. Now what's in my head at night, keeping me awake, is, okay, what's the next strategic hire that we need to make? Right. You know, what is, you know, can we add this new service line? Or what, you know, it's the things that I'm thinking about greatly affect the kind of the vision, the strategy of the business, where we're taking the business, things like that. And all those things that used to be in my head that would stress me out are just not there anymore. You know,
but it's filled with all different other things.
Yeah.
And the stress never leaves.
Stress never leaves. That's for sure. And some people would joke with me right after the acquisition. Oh, so now you just
really do nothing. Now
you
really sit back.
Exactly.
Now you really just wake up when you want. You roll into the office.
No, I wish. No, not at all. I mean, it is definitely just as wild as it's ever been. But it's amazing the power of being able to focus on the right things has just been unbelievable. And then part of it too is, you know, we added some service lines. There's a new part of the digital marketing side of our business, which is targeted display, where basically banner ads that you see on various websites.
Right.
There's a lot of strategy and different types of marketing tactics that go into why is it that you see that ad. You know, you go to The Advocate or any website, ESPN.com, and you see a particular banner ad that's on that website. There's a reason why you personally are seeing that specific ad at this specific time in this specific location. You know, so there's a lot that goes into that. Really powerful marketing platform. So we added that service line in 2018.
Okay.
And we actually make more. Really, let's see, in 2019, close to 50% of our revenue was just that one particular service line.
Oh, wow.
So we've been doing websites at this point for 13 years or something, and it we did 3 times the revenue in this new service that we've only been doing about a year and a half. Or, well, I guess now, summer of 18 to, so.
So what you're saying is that was a good strategic move.
Yes, so that was really cool. Yeah, that really propelled our business. Now we have about 70 ongoing digital marketing clients. We design and develop around 30 to 40 websites per year.
Okay.
And the majority of our clients are here in the greater Baton Rouge area and Gulf South, I'd say. So.
Okay, so along that product line, we talked about, you got websites and you've got the banner ad placement and the strategic setup and creation of those specific ads tailored towards individuals, I'm sure, rather than the specific article maybe. As some people might think, oh, I'm reading an article about sports, maybe there's going to be some football ads, but it's like, no, you're going to see like some ads of,
based on your behavior.
I'm looking at like rigid tools,
That's
or I'm
right.
looking at like, truck parts, or I'm looking at, I'm hungry. Oh, food, what, how?
Yeah. Amazon, get out of my head.
Yeah, Amazon. Where are the devices? Where are the devices?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what other specific product lines are y'all doing, like social media marketing? Are you doing, like social media marketing is starting to grow and is huge now. Is that something y'all are dabbling in, or are you kind of staying away?
Yeah, so we do social media marketing. We oddly don't do as much of it as you would think. Just kind of being in this business, you would think, oh, you must have tons of social media clients. Not really. So out of 70 clients, maybe only 8 to 10 of them, closer to the 8, number, is how many social media, accounts we have. Most of our clients have a mix of different services that we provide to them. So the majority of those 70, we provide the combination of, and that's where this gets powerful, is in the combination of, combining search engine optimization with, social media marketing, with some sort of targeted display campaign where maybe we're geofencing certain areas, or maybe it's a kind of along the lines of what you were saying, if you're reading a particular article. So a lot of the targeted display stuff is behavioral based. So if you're reading content that our advertiser cares about, then you're intending yourself into an audience that we can then target and show ads to. So if our client is a physical therapist, and you go online to WebMD and read about how to handle your sprained ankle, then we can pick up on that. And once you leave WebMD and you go to ESPN.com to read whatever sports thing, we know that you read about your sprained ankle and that you might be the type of person that a physical therapy practice would care about. So then we can show you that ad, and then we'll follow you around the internet for 30 days, hitting you over the head with that ad.
Okay, and so how do you know when to pick up that one person and target that specific individual? That, like, let's say, let's follow along that example. So we're at WebMD, but as soon as I leave WebMD, am I all of a sudden you captured me because of the search engine optimization that I was using? You're like, okay, they're using this, and how do you, I guess, pick that battle? Like, how do you get how do you get company A versus company B for me to see if they're both physical therapists?
Yeah, so when we launch the campaign, we put in a whole bunch of different parameters. So we'll say, okay, we care about people in the greater Baton Rouge area.
Okay.
We care about, and then we may upload keywords that are related to the services that we provide. So if you're a physical therapist, the keywords might be, depending on what they focus on. I mean, maybe it's like back pain, sprained ankle. We put in all these different things that someone that needs a physical therapist may search for or consume content around. So we kind of put in and then of course there's like the ads themselves. We have to actually design the ads, figure out what's that messaging. Right. Think about ads on mobile as well as desktop. And then and we basically kind of build out all these different parameters around the campaign. And then when a user on the internet starts to exhibit that behavior, that starts to trigger these things. It's like, oh, okay, there's a guy or a person, and this is all anonymized. We don't know who they are, of course.
You don't want, you'd have to have an entire fleet of employees watching one person. It's just not.
Yeah, this isn't like the NSA or anything.
No. Y'all aren't sitting there going, oh, wait, Sally's, she's doing it, guys, she's doing it.
Yeah, we don't even have
Run
access.
Run the ad.
Right. No. Yeah, all of this is built on AI, and it's all like instantaneous type stuff. So, but when a person in Baton Rouge goes to a website that reads content that fits what we're looking for, it's kind of the system is triggered, so to speak, and then as that person browses the internet and they go to websites that have the ability to show ads,
right,
our client's ad will start showing up. Same thing on their mobile phone. If they have ads, if they have apps with games that have the ability to show ads, we can do that as well. It's, it even works. So the technology is built on a spider that's constantly indexing websites online. So it even works where if you have that sprained ankle and you go to a local company physical therapy website that's, say, a competitor with our client.
Right.
Well, we can even pick up on that and show, okay, he's on a physical therapy website, so we care about him. So as soon as he leaves that physical therapy website and he goes to a website that shows ads, show him our ad.
Right, get him to leave company A and come to company B or vice versa.
That's right.
So how is that, like, let's say company A and company B set up with very similar parameters, and I'm sure a lot of different, when you're a physical, we'll keep running with the physical therapy concept. Yeah. When you're a physical therapist, you're looking for sprained ankles, you're looking for elbow pain, you're looking for back pain. But if you set up very similar parameters, what is the deciding factor of showing companies A over company B?
So here's the thing. The inventory is massive with this.
There's like, what, 10, 20 different physical therapy places in Baton Rouge?
That's right. And then think about all of the possible websites out there that have ads.
Millions.
So, yeah.
Millions.
Yeah. So the short answer is, two competing companies very much can be going after the same person.
Right.
And there's actually enough ad space to where the same person could see multiple companies' ads.
On like one article, you start scrolling, like, oh, company A, it's like, oh, whatever, company B, and wait a second, scroll back up.
That's
What?
Yeah, I mean, you can end up on some website, you can end up on Tiger Droppings reading some article, and you're like, oh, there's physical therapy ad. Oh, there's another physical therapy ad for a different company. The reality is, though, what we found is that not that many companies locally are actually doing this.
Okay.
So the ones that are tend to be the ones that get seen.
Right.
Now that may change by industry. So like
all
the auto dealers are doing it.
Right.
So specific industries very much understand this type of marketing and they're doing it.
Yeah.
But there's lots of companies that we talk to where we're the ones that are first introducing these concepts to them, and it's great. Well, it's great for us because we're able to position ourselves as the expert, be able to hold their hand, teach them how these things work, and then there's many times where they're the only one in their space doing it here locally. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, that's going to catch on. That's going to evolve and change, but
right.
For right now.
And I guess that leads me into my next question of the social media world. So you've got all the Google ads, you've got all the banner ad placements. Where do you see in the realm of social media marketing that coming into play?
Yeah. So social media.
I know for one, I can't scroll twice on my phone without seeing 10 ads on like Facebook or Instagram. Now I've gone on my back end of my account and just gotten rid of a lot of that stuff.
Right.
So it's because I was tired of it. But anyways, not everybody does that.
Right. Yeah. So social media has evolved tremendously over the years, and it used to be on Facebook, you can create a page for your brand, for your company.
Right.
You could post content, and most of the people would see it. Most of your followers and stuff would see that content.
It's super easy. If you get 300 friends, you're bound to get 300 likes and 300 visitors because that's going to be in their newsfeed.
Right, and but now, so it's really hard to get any significant kind of exposure unless you're paying Facebook.
And algorithm.
Yeah,
that
it's
algorithm shift.
Yeah, they've made it really tough on advertisers to to gain anything out of it without paid campaigns. And then Facebook, I guess they know what they're doing. I guess to their credit, a lot of it's almost like there's consumer level ad tools. So like you can create a post and they'll have their little button boost the post, and it's real easy, and you can just do it real quick and spend a little bit of money and be able to get more exposure. And sure, like that can work.
But it's not really, you're not really finding the audience you want. You're not targeting, you're not creating a geofence, you're not, searching for people that start with the letter S in their first name and, all the way through T's. You can get so specific. Yeah. And it's like, people from age 15 to 35 I want to find. But more importantly, I want to find them in mid-city. Yeah. And I want to run a mid-city beer garden ad. Right. On their Facebook page.
Right. So so Facebook has kind of their separate business ad manager tool that agencies like ours will use, and many other marketing agencies, and it does give you definitely a better set of tools to kind of hone in that targeting and try to get a better return on it.
Right.
And we found that there's definitely a role that social media can play. It can be successful in different ways, but we have a number of clients where if there's a finite budget, which there always is.
There's always a finite budget. There's always
endless money here.
And then there's always room in the budget.
Right. So we tend to kind of steer money in other ways. Okay. So like our geofencing that we're able to do is, we can drop any shape on a map. So think about a Google map, and say, let's say that you have a restaurant, and so you just open a restaurant. You now want to geofence other restaurants that are in a similar genre that you would compete with.
Right.
So let's say you open a pizza joint. So now you want to geofence all of the pizza restaurants in town, so that way people that are going into those pizza stores know that you exist. So the way it would work is we go through there and say, okay, Red Zeppelin. We draw our little geofence very specifically around just where Red Zeppelin is. And it's accurate within 8 feet of either side of the line that we draw. So that means we can exclude Perkins Road. We can exclude the area behind.
You can take the Bulldog off of the Red Zeppelin.
Out of there. Yeah, exactly. And just get Red Zeppelin. Then we can go to, Schlitz and do the same thing. We can go to, every pizza place in town and get just that area. Anybody that walks into that area, as long as they have a smartphone in their pocket, we can capture, so to speak, that person. They're basically intending themselves into an audience that we then follow. So,
all because of their social.
Because
is it social or is it smartphone based?
No, it's smartphone based. So it's based on their smartphone. As long as location services is turned on, which most people it is, if you're using Google Maps or Uber or a weather app, as long as one app on your phone has location services on, we can capture that person. Then what we can do is, in real time, if they were to browse the internet, it's possible they may see our ad for the new pizza restaurant that we're advertising.
Right.
But more importantly, when they leave the restaurant, we have them for the next 30 days. So when they go to browse the internet, they'll start seeing the ad for our pizza client. A certain percentage of those people, we can cross-device match the phone back to their computer and other devices in the household, which now allows us to show ads on those other devices that they use.
Right.
And then a really cool feature is that if that same person goes to our restaurant, we can track that as a conversion. So we have another geofence at our own place, our client's pizza place.
Right.
And when they enter, we can track how many times that,
that individuals come in.
That's right.
And then you can really give the metrics to the company, the Pizza Hut, and be like, or the pizza place, I'm sorry.
Right.
And be like, hey, pizza company, this is we've been able to see that we have 30% of people that go into pizza places, they come to yours.
Yeah.
And then once they go to yours, we have a 40% return rate.
That's right.
And so it's like, so clearly when the way we have our ads and the metrics set up, we're working for you.
Yes.
Okay. And so do you see within that, I know a lot of people, they're worried about like security. And obviously,
Mhm,
we established
sure.
it earlier. You don't have the little people
Right.
with the glasses
So,
reading.
that's
It's
right.
all autonomous. You can't go and find where I was
No.
4 days ago at whatever place.
No,
and then
no.
track me from there.
No, we have no access. We do not have access to that data. So we only know how many devices were captured, and then we'll know, how many times we showed the ad. So how many impressions did we serve of your ad
Right.
to that group?
As every ad does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll know how many people entered your restaurant in that given time period. But and then of course how many times the ad was clicked.
Yeah,
Those sorts of
click-through
metrics.
rates and the conversions.
Yeah, but we do not know anything about the consumer. So we don't know if it's male, female, ages, certainly not names or anything like that. So it's all of that's anonymous.
Yeah, and I think that's. I have seen a lot of people, or a lot of the more advanced generations, have a concern about that because that's. Well, to me, if you're going to place an ad, when I walk by a billboard, I'm like, oh, I see that ad, but you don't know if I'm seeing that ad.
That's
but
right.
I can tell you how many people walk by that billboard.
That's
and
right.
I can tell you how many people are seeing that, but I can't say, oh yeah, John Smith and
Yeah.
Angelina and Snow over here, they both saw that ad, and then they went over here.
Yeah.
But it's like, of that group, some of them came here in your place. And I think that's kind of really cool to, I like the back end of advertising, the back end of all that.
Yeah. Now, of course, like we can't control people's eyeballs to actually look
at the ad.
screen. You know what I mean? So of course, in any advertising, there's going to be some level of waste, So if you're running the billboard, of course they're going to give you traffic counts of this is how many eyeballs probably see your billboard. But they can't force, obviously, somebody in their car to look up at the billboard. Same with a print ad. They can estimate, okay, this is how many people we think are seeing it, but we can't control whether or not a person flipped the page, looked at the ad, and actually resonated with them,
Yeah.
But what's powerful about this advertising is that it's brand awareness, but it's still extremely targeted.
Oh yeah.
The only people that have the ability to see this pizza ad are the people that went to other pizza restaurants in this example. So it's at least we're narrowing that target to people that we think would be more likely to do business with you, unlike a billboard where it's just the masses.
Yeah.
It's people driving through town that don't even live here that would never become your customer.
Right. You're gonna have how many truckers come through
right.
I-10 right there, and how many of them are really gonna exit at Perkins and go to a place on the overpass?
That's right.
Now, if they come back and visit, maybe.
But yeah.
The percentage of that is so low it doesn't even matter. So, we're going to start kind of wrapping up the show.
Sure.
Now, with being in Baton Rouge, and you all are right off of Government Street, I was actually just at this 107.3 studio last week meeting with somebody over there.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you see that environment, that ecosystem happening down there? Is it booming? We growing?
So,
how are we looking?
Yeah, for sure. So, and just to clarify, so Guarantee Corporation and the radio side and some of the other ventures, we actually, Jay Ducote and all of his businesses are actually part of our family of companies as well.
Yeah, Jay's coming on in a couple of weeks, actually.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome.
So,
I
got Brian Haldane coming on.
Oh, great. Okay.
I've already had
so you're making the rounds.
I'm making the rounds.
Fantastic.
So everybody
I
at
love
Guarantee watching, you could be next.
I love it. Well, so all of those guys are in that building on Government Street. Gatorworks actually has a separate office on it's like North Harold's Ferry, so it's I-12 and Sherwood.
Okay.
So we built out about 3,000 square feet there. Moved in spring of 18, and then we're actually building out a whole another 3,200 square feet right now. Actually, that'll be ready around May time. So we're actually out there.
Okay.
Now, but of course I'm on Government Street all the time in that building working with all those guys.
Right.
So we have a presence there. I'm sure you've seen our sign out front. So we're still very much a part of that. I'll say in general, I think being in Baton Rouge has been exciting. I know that the city has its problems, but I think every city has its problems.
Right.
I see a lot of opportunity for young entrepreneurs to start a business here. I remember, when I was in college, I remember that there was a hurricane, and we had a couple days off, and my sister brought me downtown. And I was like, and I guess, I don't know, I was young, I'd never been to Baton Rouge downtown, and I didn't
Right.
really know what to expect, but what I saw, I was like, man, where's the downtown? Like, where am I? Like, what is this?
Where
You know?
where are we at?
Yeah, and that was like early 2000s. To see that evolve since then, I think has been very exciting. To see Mid-City evolve in the way that it has,
Oh, it's blowing
is
up.
super exciting. I mean, so I'm very hopeful with the direction things are going, and you know, I'm very positive. I know there's things that you can complain about. I think there's a lot to be excited about. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 bullet points of lessons you've learned along the way that you're so grateful you did.
Yeah, so one thing is that slow and steady, I think, really does win the race. You
Right,
know,
and you've been around since 06, right?
Yeah. I mean, just being focused on one thing has served me very well, and being able to. I know there's lots of entrepreneurs where it's tempting to kind of dabble in a whole bunch of things and start this business and start this other business on the side. And I'm not saying that's wrong, and that certainly could work for many other people.
Right.
But I know, like, for me, focusing on just Gatorworks and really going all in and being patient was very helpful. Being very patient. I think on the leadership side, and I have 2 leaders in particular at Gatorworks that have teams under them and are bring a ton of value to our company and are very integral to our success. And between the 3 of us, and then of course the leadership at Guarantee and what they provide, I think there's a common piece that's really important and that has been successful for us, and that's what I would call a vulnerability of leadership. So
Right.
I think we're all very willing to admit when we're wrong, and we're all very open to changing our perspective when necessary. Like,
Right.
to be able to have someone say, "No, Brian, I disagree with you," and for me to genuinely listen and be open to changing my mind, I think is pretty powerful.
That's huge.
And it's the same with the other key people in our company, and it's been pretty great. And then another piece that's related to that, I would say, would be transparency. So we're a very transparent company as a whole, outwardly with our clients and the way that we deliver our services, but then inwardly to our team, we're extremely transparent. So we share all the numbers with our team. They know where they stand, where the company stands, where maybe they personally may fit into the whole. So just having a transparent approach, I think, has served us very well.
That's incredible. I think that's a great, valuable tool to have, not only in a big company or a smallish, 20 employees.
Yeah.
Some people
We're
consider it a small
Yeah.
company. And being able to, because you
Yeah.
can at that level. At that level, you
Yeah.
can be so open, you can be so transparent that
For
it's
sure.
huge, that everybody feels like they're an important member of the
Yeah.
team, and it's trying to maximize and capture that, and then apply it once you start scaling out to where those 20
Yeah.
people become 200 people.
Sure.
And it's maintaining that really leads to great success for larger companies. So one more question, or 2 more questions technically, but one is, was there a moment in time that you just knew what you were doing was different and was going to be where you are now?
Ooh, man.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. We'll be right back after this short commercial.
Yeah. I think I've always been hungry. I've always pushed to get better, which at sometimes can be not good, because you do have to celebrate the wins and sit
Right.
back and be like, okay, let's stop moving the goalposts here. Let's celebrate that. Okay, we actually did meet our goal.
Right.
But so with that in mind, I think it's always been difficult to say, oh, we got this figured out. So the reality is, we don't have it figured out. Like, we've come a long way. We're a lot better today than we were even last year. Certainly better than we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But I think it's also really dangerous to think that you've made it, you know? I think the moment our leadership starts to think, we got this figured out, we're really successful, and, you know, we're good, that'll be our start of the decline, you know?
Yeah.
So we all try to stay humble and try to stay like, okay, had a great year, how do we improve, how do we, you know? Now, with that said, I think over the years, there's certainly moments where it's like, okay, I'm not going to go bankrupt. Like, this thing is...
We may not have made it, but, you know, we don't
Right.
have to worry about... We went from a month to now we have 2 years
Sure.
before the lights go out.
Sure. You know, I mean, I think, like, in the spring of 2016, you know, we had a big party downtown to celebrate 10 years in business, and that was a moment of, like, reflection for me, and, like, a moment to kind of pause and celebrate and be excited for what we had achieved and things like that. So I think there are, like, marks in time where I can say, like, okay, yeah, like, I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, you know, we got over the hill. We have figured out to, you know, how to provide consistent value to clients. Still got a lot more work to do, but we're on a good path. So I think there's definitely some moments there where, you know, that I can look back on. I think that would be one of them. Is, you know, spring of 16, feeling like, okay, it's been 10 years. We're on a good path.
Right.
You know?
We're on a good trajectory. From here, there's only up.
Yeah.
We're outside of that. Oh gosh, we could close doors
Right.
in, you know,
Right.
a week. So
Right.
I think that's great. And the final question is there anything that I can do to help you, or maybe even the viewers can do to help you just achieve your next goal and just keep you going?
Wow, that's a great question. So, you know, one of our biggest challenges right now is that, you know, we're scaling the business very quickly.
Right.
We're looking for talented people to join our team. So, part of the way that part of what we need is talented people to stay in Baton Rouge. You know, so I think
say that this way, so they can see it.
You know, if you're graduating from LSU, there is more opportunity here if you look for it.
Right.
And I think you're already helping by having this show. I mean, I think you're showing, you know, people out there that there's a lot of really cool things happening in this city.
It's everywhere.
You know,
it's my ads are all over the place because I'm all over the place talking with different people and just trying to say, hey, what about Baton Rouge is so great, and just show people constantly and reminding them of reasons to stay.
Absolutely.
And it's, you know, like you said, there's so much opportunity out there.
Yeah.
You know, y'all are looking for people. So many other companies are looking for great people, and everyone says, well, it's hard to find people to work there because they leave. They graduate. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people in my class at LSU were like, oh yeah, once we graduate here, we're off and we're out. I'm like, why? Why are you going to leave Baton Rouge, a place that's so young and so vibrant, that's so ready to take? It's just waiting for talent to come in and just explode the place. So be a part of that talent. That's what I always remind people.
Absolutely, I love it. Yeah, so keep doing this show so that way you can record that talent, spread, you know, all the great people that are in our community. Share it on social media and give people, you know, maybe remind people of all the great things that are happening here and give them a reason to stay. You know. So,
well, thank you. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Had a great time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's a little different than what some people do and such. So it's
fantastic.
I love it. But thank you for coming on the show, and for everybody watching, thank you so very much for taking the time, or listening, for taking the time out of your very busy day to give the show a listen and to give the show a watch. I greatly appreciate it, as well as the guests that come on. And today we've got Brian Rodriguez of Gatorworks on. And so like the page, share the show, subscribe to the show, and check out Gatorworks for all your needs or employment needs if you're looking for a job and you're young and talented. So I am your host, Patty G, here with Brian Rodriguez of Gatorworks, signing out. Thanks. Have a great night.